It is Friday. Welcome to the Friday Morning Show. I am your host, Miss Deanna Deacon, founder of the Empowered Woman Conference, as well as Deanna Deacon Coaching, and owner of this little cute guy. Look at him, that Stuart cat. Dixie's just down below me. We're surrounded by all the love of the animals today, so yay. Happy Friday to you. Today we are talking about how to handle the challenges and the chaos and the experiences that come up when you grow and expand as a soulful being. So as you expand into an empowered woman, as you expand into someone who is able to see more positivity in your life, we often come up against these barriers or these challenges in our relationships with old friends, with partners, with family members, whatever it might be. So I'm going to give you 3 tips today that you can take action on right away to start alleviating any chaos that might be occurring in your relationships, okay? So if you're here with me live, I want you to type in, say hello, let me know where you're watching from this morning, how are you feeling? If you're watching the replay, you know how it goes. Hashtag replay and tag me in your post so that I can come back and follow along with you. I want you to be commenting as I'm sharing these tips because it helps you not only to really receive them, but it helps you to embody the concepts. So it's not just this one time you watched a video and heard a few tips, you start to actually take them in and allow them to be a part of your life. And that's when you start seeing results that make you feel alive and enlightened and awake and as though things are flowing in a way that serves you. Okay? So let me know how you're feeling today, where you're watching from. I'm so happy that you're here with me. So before we dive into those 3 tips, I just want to remind you, one, are you in Kamloops? If you are, come hang out with me this weekend. Tonight, I'm hosting Dinner with Soul. I think there's 1 spot remaining. And tomorrow, I'm hosting Belly Fit Mini Retreat downtown Kamloops. They're going to be incredible. There's quite a bit of space left for the Belly Fit Mini Retreat. So please come, bring your friends, send me a message, let me know that you're on your way, grab a ticket online, whatever you need. Come and join me. It's going to be incredible. 2, or B, if you're in Williams Lake, the first or second week of February, you'd have to check on my Facebook page. I'm hosting 2 different events in Williams Lake at Satya Yoga Studio. There's the Conscious Relationships workshop as well as a belly fit class. So go check those out. And 3, this one's really big. We just announced that the tickets for the Empowered Woman Conference in Terrace are live. So if you're in Northern BC or if you want to come travel to be at the Empowered Woman Conference, it's going to be incredible. Tickets for that in Terrace are now available. Head to deannadeacon.com/terrace. Go grab your ticket. You can get a discount if you buy 2 at once or 3 or 4 or 5, however many you want, okay? So that was Kamloops, Williams Lake, Terrace. Super exciting, right? Roberta, good morning to you, my dear. You're home and feeling grateful. What a beautiful Friday morning for you. Being nestled in at home and feeling grateful for the life that you have. I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks for joining me. And those of you watching the replay, can't wait to see how you're feeling and where you're watching from. Okay, so I've got my notepad over here because I actually wrote down our tips for today. But as I mentioned, this has been coming up. If you saw my Instagram story from last night, I was talking a little bit about this. It's come up with a couple clients recently. I worked with a client last year through this quite a bit. This is actually very common, that when you start applying the principles that you're learning from either listening to my podcast or the Friday Morning Show or in the Empowered Woman Collective, you start interacting with your world differently. Right? And chances are you've experienced this at different levels. You start seeing things differently. You start not wanting to engage in the same conversations or activities or choices that you used to. Excuse me. You want to instead focus on what lights you up and what makes you feel great and what allows you to feel good in your body. You start to shift your focus. And when you do that, there's often long-standing friendships and relationships that you've had that suddenly feel like they're in this turmoil, that suddenly you don't relate the same way. You kind of butt heads a little bit, or you just find that some ways that people say it is those people start to bring your vibe down. I want to give you these really important tips today as to how you can move through that, because what I don't want you to do is start expanding into this person that you know you're meant to be and then end up just like burning every bridge for all the relationships and friendships you've spent your life building. There's a way to transition in this experience with grace, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut out everybody in your life. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you some tips here today, which is going to be awesome, and they are going to help you. But if this is like a real deal for you, if this is something that's really showing up in your life and causing you anxiety or stress or chaos, I want you to consider reaching out to me for one-to-one coaching, because this can cause a lot of friction, and there's a way that you can move through it with grace, and I can hold you through that, okay? I've done it before, I can do it again. And I've also done this in my own personal life as well, okay? So, first of all, before we dive into tip number 1, have you experienced this before? I want you to type in right now, have you experienced or witnessed in this moment or in the past that as you grow into who you know you're meant to be, it reflects in your relationships in a way that causes a bit of turmoil, a bit of chaos, a bit of friction? Have you experienced this before? Go ahead and comment in and let me know. I've got my notepad. Did you guys notice that I got my haircut? Miss Stacy gave me a haircut. We were trying something a little funky. We wanted it to poof up a little bit, but you know, it just does what it does. But at least now I can see. Before, I think my bangs were way down here, my hair was out here. Oh, it's so fun. So, have you been through something like this before? Have you experienced something like this before? Comment in right now, let me know. It makes it so much easier for me to actually identify where you're at when I'm sharing these tips. So by you commenting in, it makes it more of a two-way experience for us, and these concepts are going to go a lot deeper for you. Hi, Crystal. So good to see you're here. Crystal, you're going through this now. Okay, yes. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. It's not a comfortable place to be, but as soon as you start to identify and use these tips, it will start making a difference for you, okay? Good morning, Devin. So lovely to see you. Roberta, yes, a lot. Okay, so you've experienced this quite a bit. Oh, Crystal, you love my hair. Thank you, darling. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Okay, Devin. Love the feathers. Thank you. I also have a feather here. This is because tonight is Dinner with Soul, and Dinner with Soul is all about connection to spirit, and white feathers specifically represent my mom to me. Hang on one second. My kitty's making a whole bunch of noise. I hope he's okay. I don't know cat noises. Are you okay, kitty? Stewie, are you stuck somewhere? Stewie. Okay, he's good. Don't worry. Stuart's good. I'm learning cat noises. I don't know what they mean. I don't know what he's trying to tell me, but we figured it out. Are you ready? Are you ready for tip number 1? Dixie's here to join us. Tip number 1, this is going to sound so simple. If you were at the conference in November at Sunpeaks, you probably remember seeing this on stage. You're so beautiful. So, tip number 1, this sounds so simple. It sounds so small, but I want you to actually do it. You need to identify the changes that are causing friction. You need to identify the patterns that you used to engage with and no longer bring you joy. You need to identify what conversations are making you feel off. Not just the person that they're with, but what about the conversation feels uncomfortable or not lifting for you? What activities did you used to engage with and now you don't want to anymore? You need to identify what it is that has changed. What part of these conversations, activities, connections, whatever it is, what part of it is causing you some sort of friction? Without identifying the cause, you're going to push your energy and your frustration onto the person, onto the group of people, onto your partner, whatever it is. That's not what we're about. This is not, being an empowered woman is not about deflecting energy onto others and saying like, this is your fault. You don't get it. You can't see clearly like I can. No. I want you to identify what the change is that is now causing friction. Okay. Can someone type that in for me, please? Identify the change that is causing friction. Identify the change that is causing friction. Sometimes I sing things to remember them. Identify the change that is causing friction. Identify the change that is causing friction. That's tip number 1. Okay. Oh, Susan, you're here. Hi, nice to see you. Your streaming is spotty, so it's interrupting. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But the replay will be available for you afterwards. So, tip number 1, identify the changes that are causing friction. Tip number 2, once you've identified these changes, you can see what it is that's causing you friction. Now it comes into a place of you really truly need to focus on in yourself, practicing non-judgment and non-attachment. Non-judgment and non-attachment towards the other person. It's not their fault that you no longer feel engaged with the conversation. It's not their fault that you no longer want to participate in those activities. It's not their fault that they don't see things the way you did. This is something that I find so often in this like soulful spiritual awakening of individuals is suddenly you wake up one day and it's like you can see clearly for what the truth of the whole universe is, and now you're mad at everybody else who doesn't get it. You're frustrated that they can't figure it out too. Why can't you see this? I can see it. Why can't you? Just because you can see things differently, just because you start feeling a different way does not at all mean anybody else needs to. They are on their journey and you are on yours. And just because you start to awaken into something does not give you the right to push your beliefs or to push what you see onto others. If you're in a conversation and it comes up, of course, share it. But don't come into judgment of others or attachment to them finding the same thing that you found. That is what is going to cause even more friction because it's coming into judgment of others. It's coming into separation. I see this and you don't. Therefore, I need to teach you. No. What you need to do is come into your heart. And in order to do that, you focus all of your energy on non-judgment and non-attachment. Okay? Non-judgment, non-attachment. Non-judgment, non-attachment. And the attachment piece is a lot of us, especially as women, we are very maternal. We want to nourish and nurture everyone in our lives. We want everyone to feel as incredible as we do. But have you ever tried pushing things on your kids and trying to make them understand something, especially teenagers? Make them understand something, make them do something, push something on your partner, push something on your family members, and you're like, no, but this is what you need. Just listen to me. Don't worry, I got this. Look, this worked for me. It's going to work. Come on, you got to do this. Have you had success with that? Chances are you haven't, because people don't want to be told what to do. People want to take it upon themselves to take that action. And when you practice non-attachment, you can allow everybody in your life to choose the choices that they want and still love them and still love you. You can still be in that relationship. You can still surround yourself with that individual or those individuals while staying in your heart, while not being kind of like sucked into the choices and energy that they're within. Okay? So non-judgment, non-attachment. Let me know where you're at. How is this landing for you? We've had principle or tool number 1, tool number 2. What do you think about this? How is this sitting with you? It seems simple, as everything that I teach is simple, but it's also profound. And when you actually apply these tips to your life, when you apply these tools to your heart, that's when you start seeing changes. I received an incredible message last night from a woman that I know is probably going to watch this video. I don't think she's here with us now. And we've never worked together. But she shared with me how the Friday morning show and the podcast and all of the principles and the teachings that I offer, she shared how those have changed her. She said, her words, changed her life. This is completely accessible and possible for you to move through these changes in your relationships with grace. It just takes some dedication, some intention, some focus. Okay? So, how is this landing for you? Comment in right now. I want to hear from you. Tool number 1, you need to identify the changes that are causing friction. And tool number 2, you need to really, truly focus. Non-judgment, non-attachment. Okay? And tip number 3, are you ready for it? I want to hear from you first. Comment in. I want to hear from you how this is landing for you, how you're feeling about this, what your thoughts are. If you have any questions, get it in the comments. I want to see. And tip number 3, this is a big one actually, that the wording that I chose for this came from my yoga teacher training that I'm pretty sure I completed 2 years ago, I think. And it was our core foundational principle of the entire yoga practice. From the very beginning was the first thing that we learned. And I've really applied this to my life, and you can apply this to your relationships, and it makes such a difference. It gives you so much less stress and anxiety inside. It's really profound. So tip number 3 is a pretty good one. Crystal, everyone has their own stuff they're going through. Perspective. Yeah, this is definitely the perspective concept that we talked about at the conference. Everybody has their own stuff that they are going through. And just like everybody else does, you do too, and you also have in the past. So remember that to some people, You've always been this one way, and then suddenly you just like awaken to something new, and everyone's like, whoa, what are you doing? And some people are supportive and some people are not. Because when we're caught up in our own insecurities, which all of us are to some degree, it's uncomfortable for other people to change. We like things to stay the same. We want status quo. We don't want anything changing ever. And when people who are close to us start to change, it can trigger our insecurities. And for a lot of us, the way that we deal with that is we lash out or we judge or we push to others. That's what this conversation is about, teaching you to no longer do that as you step into your empowered woman. So knowing that everybody has their own journey that they are meant to go through allows you to have more of that non-judgment and non-attachment towards them and the choices they're making. Yeah. So the third tip is open to grace. Open to grace. What that means is trust. It means belief. It means understanding, just like Crystal just said, that they are going through their own journey, just like you are. And that you're not in charge of fixing anybody at all, ever. That is not your role. That is not your job. Your job now, as you step into this part of your being, is to be a leader. And a leader does not push, a true empowered woman leader does not push their agenda on others, does not push their beliefs on others. They hold space. They learn how to be with another person through their emotions and just be with them and hold that energy and hold that space. They open to grace in the sense that nothing needs to be done at a certain time. Nothing needs to be done a certain way. There is space within your heart for acceptance and compassion and love of yourself and others. Opening to grace is trusting that God, the universe, all of Mother Earth energy is here holding us and guiding us. And that even when terrible things happen, there is still a magic within the world and within all of us individually that allows us to persevere and move forward. That when we have ailments in our bodies, we trust and believe that this is serving us in some way, that we are creating change in our body on purpose. That when a relationship or a friendship may need to come to an end for now, that is for the greatest good of all. I shared probably 2 months ago on the Friday morning show, you can find it on my website under free resources. I shared about an intimate friendship that I had that just came to a catapult stop, and how heartbreaking it was for me and how challenging it was. And yet in that heartbreak and challenge, I found so much of myself and I learned how to show up for myself. And so even though it was so painful, I don't regret it because it served me. And so opening to grace is understanding and believing that to be true every moment, every day. Okay? Roberta, everyone changes and grow, but don't judge and listen. Yeah, everybody does change. Everybody is constantly changing. We are dynamic beings. Our bodies are constantly regenerating themselves. Our hair constantly keeps growing, and that's why we need to get it cut all the time. We're constantly in motion, in movement, in perpetual movement. And so acknowledging that it's okay if someone shifts. It's okay if you shift. It's okay if relationship shifts. All of this is okay. There's nothing bad about it. What makes it feel bad is when we judge it and when we expect it to be something that it's not, or we need it to be something that it's not. That is our ego. That's just ego showing up saying, this isn't how it's supposed to be. It needs to be like this. This is what I'm used to. Let it go. Open to grace. Trust that everything is working out exactly as it's meant to. Okay? Now I said that there'd be 3 tips, 3 tools, but there's actually one secret 4th one. And this is something that I can feel inside of me, that all of the work that I do is moving more in this direction. And it's a little bit subtle maybe, or subliminal, but I can feel it coming forward. When you step into this aspect of your life, if you're, everything that we're sharing here today, if you're engaging with this, then this is, I'm speaking directly to you. If you can feel how this is changing in your life right now, this is for you. You are now a leader. You are now a leader. You are stepping into the role of leadership, not from a place of I'm starting a business and speaking on stage, or, you know, I'm taking on a role at the school where I'm talking to everybody there. No, it's leadership because people in your life are witnessing and watching you. They're observing your growth. They're observing your change. Your children, your family members, they're watching. Not to judge you, not to bring you down, but we observe. That's all we do. We constantly observe each other. You are now in a role of leadership. And the most powerful way that you can serve your family and your community for them to find their joy, their happiness, their truth is to find it for yourself. Because like I said before, you can push your agenda on others, but chances are they're going to be like, whoa, I don't think so. But if you just step into what is true for you and you continue to follow your heart and you keep focusing on coming into your observer mindset instead of your ego, this is what people witness. This is what they see. When they see those changes occur in you, they get curious. They want to know more. They're going to maybe pick up that book that you were reading. Maybe they just start, checking out some of the things that you like on Facebook. Maybe they ask you a couple questions. This is authentic leadership. It starts here. Okay? And for those of you, I think most of you who are here watching now are already in this, but if you're watching the replay, if you're not already in the Empowered Woman series, which is starting next weekend, you guys, I don't understand why you're not there. This program is under $300, gives you lifetime access, and we go over 6 fundamental principles for you to embody as an empowered woman. It allows you to continuously step into this truth of who you are. The first one that we work on is ego versus observer. So when I'm talking about that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, get your booty over to the Empowered Woman series. These principles change your life in the most incredible way. And you have my support the entire way, as well as an incredible community of women that are practicing these tools over and over and over, because everybody gets lifetime access. Because I want you to embody these concepts. I want you to understand how you're a conscious creator of your life, how you are choosing your reality every day. It's so valuable that we create a strong foundation of support and love for ourselves, and that's exactly what the Empowered Woman series will give you the tools for. So if you're not already in the series, please, 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 please join us. It's at deannadeacon.com/empowered, or send me a message. I can tell you all the details, etc., etc. Okay? I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. Oh, it feels so good. I'm going to take a little bit of a social media hiatus for a few days, so you're not going to see too much of me online over the next, next few days until it feels ready to come back. But on Wednesdays, remember, new podcast episodes come out on the Empowered Podcast. And then also on Friday next week, I'll be doing the Friday morning show. So happy Friday to you. Have so much fun. I love you. Ciao.